Huw Edwards. Huw Edwards. Does anybody remember Huw Edwards? So the fallout for that guy's push is still happening. But as always, the right-wing press is using it for their own purposes. And Mike Graham just get absolutely destroyed, ripped apart. His empty arguments, fruitless arguments, unlogical arguments, illegal arguments, rabble-rousing has been called out, and it's hilarious to see this fat jabber a hot motherfucker fucking trying to stay afloat in the sea of his own bullshit. And again, this fat motherfucker couldn't give a fat fuck about paedophilia. The victims of Huw Edwards, I can't even remember the guy's name, that news presenter, and they're appropriating the whole paedophilia thing to just stick the jobby stick in at the BBC. Now let me think, why would a Rupert Murdoch right-wing fucking tabloid fucking news outlet want to run down the BBC? I have no idea. I mean, I can't think for myself. It's because they're the only people that care about paedophilia. You know, like by the right-wing press logic, if you are not a right-wing fucking borderline fascist Nazi cunt, then you don't care about paedophilia. You just don't care. And so let's have a look. Let's have a look at Mike Graham getting destroyed.
Actually, it's not very clear. So they haven't got the money yet. They should never have given him the money in the first place, because at the time they gave him the money, he was under suspension for misconduct.
The home,
which later turned into
of common
charges,
sense. Common sense would dictate, mate, you need to go to a fucking fat camp. Like, honestly, look, he's genuinely got like a fucking head grown off his head.
It turned into an arrest, which later turned into a conviction for being a paedophile. And they're basically saying there, Tim Davies sitting there saying, well, you know, if he doesn't want to give it back to us, there's not much we can do. We've
basically saying that is nowhere near anything what he fucking said. People listen to this as if it's news. This guy just invented stuff. He's basically saying, Huw Edwards was good at raping fucking young children.
Requested it. How ridiculous. Let's talk to Akil.
How ridiculous, right? This guy is going to point out how ridiculous your argument is. This guy isn't this stupid. They've just been sitting in Castle Grayskull round the Rupert Murdoch fucking round table, getting all their talking points, and this is what he's told to go with.
Ahmed, former head of religion and ethics at the BBC. Akil, I find it hard to believe, watching the way some of these people operate, that they could actually be running anything than a Welk stand.
I find it hard to believe you get yourself into work in the morning, mate. You can't get a suit that fucking fits you, you're that fucking fat. So you look like a fucking tramp in a suit. You look like a fucking... it looks like a £10, £20 fucking suit for fucking Argos. On a fat cunt like you. No doubt it's a Savile Row £1,000 number, but just on a fat jab or a hot fuck. Look at the state of that man. He looks homeless.
Yeah, I think it's a very tough one, this, Mike. I mean, I'm going to speak obviously in a personal capacity here, but I think it's a really tough one because initially, you know, we're conflating two things here. Remember, when he was initially suspended, it was on other allegations, as what we then found out later on.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what?
No, you're not conflating two things, mate. The right-wing mob who have a dog in the fight to demonise the BBC because of their rivals. And this is just shameless smearing and bullshit, which this guy is happy to point out.
I think if they'd known what they've said, they've been quite clear about it as well. If he'd been charged and actually been etc. at the time, then it would have been a very different thing. I mean, you can't just go around when people are under investigation. You can't just not pay them.
Don't let that enter anybody's brain cells, like due process, legal process, the fact that you're meant to be innocent until proven guilty. You can agree or disagree with these processes, but these are the processes that the BBC are going through, and they have no choice in the matter. It's all legal and fucking down in a bit of paper, the rules and regulations.
I think, I know Tim Davey, I know Samir Shah very well, in fact. And I can't speak on their behalf, but I'd be shocked if they think that they're happy with any of this. You can just see it in their body language. They are not happy at all.
No, I'm sure they're not happy.
The fact of the matter is, actually, it's all down to Huw and how he behaved. But I think they will have taken legal advice, and I hope they to get that money back. I hope they go as hell to leather to get the money back, because it's not acceptable. And I think Huw knew what was coming, and he should have done the right thing. But initially, they had no choice, because you can't not pay people.
Yeah, but let's put that to one side.
Let's put that to the side. See, the fact that legally speaking, they could not fucking stop paying him when he was under investigation because he was innocent until proved guilty. Let's just put that to the side, because what we need to do here is demonise the BBC. Not that they followed the fucking proper procedure and they were kind of like their hands tied behind their back, because legally speaking, you can't stop paying somebody while they're under investigation. This guy kindly informed us that the shit that's coming out now wasn't the stuff that Huw Edwards was initially suspended for. But let's put that to the side. Let's just forget about that, because this big fat prick has a job to do.
That perhaps they couldn't have withheld the money. Surely they should be a little more strong about getting it back. I mean, we should...
Well, if they couldn't, let's put that to the side. They couldn't withhold the money. Yeah, they couldn't. But let's put it, maybe they could be a bit more strong getting it back.
We should be hoping that he gives it back. We shouldn't be requesting that he gives it back. They should be getting some kind of order. Well, apparently there's a process, but you just heard Tim Davies' own word. Apparently there's a process. Yeah, there is a whole legal process. You can't just go around going, I think, well, this is what the far right fucking want. That's what fat pricks like him and Rupert Murdoch want. They want dictatorial powers and the fucking, the powers in the hands of the rich, so they can just dish out justice willy-nilly as they want. Fuck process. Fuck all that shit. He says it's challenging to get the money back. But why is it challenging?
Because it's a legal process, you fat prick. How long have you worked in fucking the tabloid fucking propaganda industry? I mean, that fat prick isn't that stupid. He can actually feed himself, as you can clearly see.
Well, it's challenging because he can't demand that he gives him the money back. They can ask. The process is this, isn't it? You ask, and if he doesn't give the money back, then you go through legal means to get that money back. So there has to be a process, just as much as he wants that money back, because quite frankly, it's a lot of money. That's a couple of documentaries. Look at it's everybody's money, but it's also when your money is tight for every organisation, not just for us as individuals, but for organisations.
The home of common sense. Common sense would dictate you need to go to a fat camp, mate. You're fucking one French fry away from a fucking heart attack.
And I'm not going to get into bigger conversations about whether or not you think it's spent wisely or not, but the fact of the matter is, that's a couple of £100,000 pays for a couple of programmes. So the fact of the matter is they want that money back as well. But the thing is, you can't just demand it. You can ask for it. If he doesn't give it, then you take that legal recourse.
But don't let any of that, don't let any of that get in the way of just blindly smearing the BBC because you're their rival. Listening to Talk Sport about stories about the BBC is like listening to me about stories about Celtic, right? It just you won't get a fair and balanced view. You're going to get a completely swift view. Home of common sense, my arse. It's the home of Rupert Murdoch's gimps. Let's listen to him, man. So this guy's kindly explained why you're full of shit, and this rabble-rousing that you're doing is just a pile of shite.
I think he's been very clever with the words that he's using, because he knows he cannot demand it, and he cannot say, I'm going to get this money back definitely, because ultimately it's up to Huw, and then it's up, and if Huw doesn't play ball, then it's up to a legal process.
Yes, but I think when you say legal process, what you mean is...
Yes, but I think... No, I think what you mean is... No, he means a legal process, you fat tramp. What do you not understand about what he just said? Plain English?
Suing him for it, right? Which, I mean,
Yeah, exactly,
may not be necessary, but there must be other ways of doing it. It just seems to me that the people...
There must be other ways? Right, tell me the ways, Michael.
Well, what's the other way, Mike? Well, if you ask him... And then...
What's the other way, Michael? Listen, this is where he starts getting destroyed.
And what's the other way after that?
Well, I mean, I presume he's got a pension. I would say, if I were them, I would say, well, if you expect to be given your pension, we'll just take it out of that.
Oh, yeah, let's just hand corporations the power to go around and rape people's pensions. Yeah, obviously, they're using, again, this is them appropriating paedophilia. Nobody's talking about the victims here. Talking about the BBC and how bad the BBC are. Nothing about the victims. Nothing about that cunt getting jail time when it fucking happens. Nah.
And that's probably
you can't do that, though. You can't. As much as you may want to do that.
Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you might be able to do it. Aye, if fucking Nigel Farage gets in and you right-wing fucking authoritarian fucking shitty boys all get in charge, and then you can just make up the laws and regulations and rules as you go along. That sounds about right.
You can't.
Yeah, but the point is that, you know... That
you can't... Well, the point is...
It doesn't appear to be a willingness. You know, the BBC...
Yeah, let's just move away from the fact that I was just talking complete shite there. You can't go in and rape people's pensions. People have been jailed for that in the past. You fat tramp. Well, regardless if it's fucking Huw Edwards or not, you can't just single him out for fucking special treatment. You have to fucking... Let's watch him.
Seems to me to be right.
No, but that would require legislation to be changed. You can't go into someone's pension and take money out. That's the problem.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, these conversations have been had around Paula Venables. They've been had around all sorts of people who have not done anything like us.
But it's not happened, though, has it?
Yep, it's not happened because they can't do it. These conversations have happened around other people we wanted to demonise.
Right, no one's taken the money off them.
Well, it hasn't happened because there's a reticence in the people.
It hasn't happened because you can't do it, you fat tramp.
Who run these organisations who don't want to get themselves into any kind of hot water.
They don't want to get jailed for going round and stealing people's pensions, you fat fucking jabber hot fuck.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, by the way, on whether it's a good or a bad thing, but I think you'd need to have some legislation to be able to enable you to do that, to go in and raid somebody. Because think about it, actually, if you raid somebody's pension, we know what happened when somebody raided pensions in the past. It's illegal.
Well, yes,
it's illegal. Yes, you fat jabber hot. Look at him squirming.
With this country, and I'm sorry to say this to you, Akil, that there are people in this country who don't like upsetting the apple cart, and they get taken advantage of by people who are far more ruthless.
What the fuck has this got to do with the BBC? Huw Edwards? Like, what the fuck is the point here, caller?
Ghastly and criminal in Huw Edwards' case, and he's a criminal, let's face it. He will be going to jail, hopefully, for quite a long time for some of the horrendous things that he's done. Now, this man does not deserve to be treated in any way fairly. I know you will say, well, that's what the law says he should be, but the point is if they were a bit more...
Nah, every man should be treated equal under the law. Not in right-wing dictatorship, fucking Rupert Murdoch, fat jabber a hot fucking land.
Aggression coming from the BBC about this, make life unpleasant for him, suddenly he'll give you the money back.
Send the boys round! So his idea is make life unpleasant for fucking Huw Edwards to force him to bully him to give the money back.
That's the way the commercial word works.
I think life is pretty unpleasant for you, but I'm actually in agreement with you, Mike. I think they should get that money in that way, but I don't think you can just do it arbitrarily. You'd have to... There has to be a change in legislation. Maybe that's what we should be appealing for, changing legislation.
We should be.
So you can get that money from these people who rob it from other people.
BBC, considering they don't give anybody any room to breathe or manoeuvre when they haven't paid the licence fee, they haven't even given him a deadline. I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Surely.
Well,
that's ridiculous, surely. What are you talking about, you fat tramp? They can't give them the deadline because they can't demand anything off them.
you know, I think that's just using polite language, isn't it? I mean, what deadline can they give? I mean, the fact of the matter is there will be a deadline.
No, sorry, when you get a parking fine, you get a deadline. You get to pay it within 28 days.
I know, but it's not a legal thing yet. I'll tell you what would probably happen, Mike. They'll have been in touch with him. There'll be a couple of conversations that if he doesn't reply or he doesn't respond in the manner that they accept, that's when you then go to legal recourse. Because of course, initially, what you want to do is, let's say, is appeal to his good nature.
I don't want to appeal to his good nature. He doesn't have a good nature. He's a paedophile.
But the fact is, you can't just grab the money off him, though, can you? That's the problem at the moment.
Well, no. So what's your point, you fat jabba the hot fuck?
But there are ways that you can, shall we say, persuade him to part with the cash.
Aye, send the boys round. Send the boys round. Listen to what's coming out of Rupert Murdoch fucking pie holes.
In the same way...
Give us an example, Mike.
Well, like I said, if you get...
Give me an example, Mike. Oh, like I said.
Get a letter from your local council because you've breached some kind of parking restriction, you get a threatening letter. You get
but
told
that's legal,
if
though,
you don't.
That's a legal
sometimes
process.
It's not
no
actually.
Legal process in this.
Sometimes it's not a legal process actually.
Well, it is if it's coming from.
Yes, it is. It's a legal process. You fat tramp. What he realises he's fucked up. Let's just forget about all the tripe I've said.
We're going to agree on this, Apple. We're never going to agree on it.
We're never going to agree on it. There's nothing to agree on, mate. You're talking about sending boys round and stealing some cunt's money without any due process or legal basis to do it on. This guy's kindly reminded you that they fucking of everything that's accurate, and you're just like, BBC pensions, let's rape his pension.
Point is the BBC being too bloody polite. It's quite simple. And if you want to get money off somebody who owes you money, sometimes you need to be a bit less polite. That's my point.
That's your point? The BBC needs to be less polite with Huw Edwards. There was a fucking long way getting there, you fat tramp.
Well, I think they're dragging him. I think they are being. I just don't
sound like it
on that one.
Don't sound like it. What are you talking about, you fat fuck?
Well, I don't know what they can do, mate.
Well, they could give him a deadline. So if you haven't paid up by the end of September, we're coming after you in court. Simple. They haven't done that.
That will be the latter stage of the conversation, yeah.
Well, that should be the first conversation they could have. Akil, thanks very much.
Yeah, aye.
Indeed. Akil.
Yeah, no idea about how pensions work, no idea about the legal process, no idea about fucking employment law or anything. Just, the BBC are fucking bad.
Barman, former head of religion and ethics, being far too nice about Huw Edwards, in my view.
In your view? Well, in my view, mate, you need to go to fat camp. So that's the right-wing press and how they're appropriating paedophilia, yet again, for their own purposes. The purposes being blindly demonising the BBC, because they are their commercial rivals. It isn't rocket science. They couldn't give a flack. Did you hear anything about Huw Edwards' victims? Nada. Nothing. It was all about the BBC should do this, BBC should send the boys and get his money. Well, you can't really just steal people's pensions, you know. It's illegal. You can't just go around going, I don't like you today. I'm going to steal your pension. Although, these right-wing motherfuckers would love that. They're big corporate fucking sugar daddies like that. Oh yeah, man, I'd love to be able to just fucking kick fucking any cunt out my company that I want with no recourse, you know? That shows you where they want the balance. They want the balance with the corporations, with the big boys, with the big bags of money, and they'll fucking sell you Nigel Vag, smoking a fag, drinking a pint, fucked up British teeth, to fucking groom the great unwashed like ourselves, man. And are you stupid enough to fall for Nigel Vag's parlour tricks? Are you stupid enough to fall for the facade of Nigel Vag? The facade of Farage. There's a fucking rhyme in there somewhere. Anyway, there's Mike Graham. Schooled in the realities of what's going on with fucking that pedo BBC guy, Huw Edwards. Right? And again, supporters of fucking the right-wing fucking windy-licking idiots out there who think they're fighting for freedom and justice, they'll wrap this up as some sort of a way, and make sure you support paedophiles. I mean, like, do you actually have... See, if you have to bounce about and fucking virtual signal that you're not a pedo, or you don't agree with paedophilia, there's something fucking wrong. That's the norm, you fuckwits. Unless you fucking watch unless you let the windy licking device create your reality, pedo-geddon, everybody, 99.9% of every cunt is against against pedos. And most of us would fucking would probably string them up if it happened in our fucking circles, you know what I mean? So having to signal that? What the fuck is that all about? It goes without saying. Anyway, morning rant over. 20 minutes, good shit, man. Anyway, have a nice day, y'all. Look, fucking sun's trying to come out again in Glasgow, man. The fucking apocalypse is near. Get it? Got it. Good. Catchies. No cats. Oh, jeez. Was harmed. Oh, fucking look at that fucking sun. No cats or cheese. Only my eyeballs were harmed in this filming.